Hello and welcome back, everyone. I don't think any introductions are necessary. If you've made it this far, I think you know our names. You know the name of the podcast. You know what you're listening to. You know what you're in store for. So let's just get right into it.
Let's do it.
So Dylan, the Cybertruck, it's old news. It's old news at this point.
It is old news.
But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting now that they're in customers' hands and you can see what the
end product is. Yeah.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
What does it actually look like? Because I don't think half of Americans thought it would ever come out. It would ever be in people's hands.
I was in that camp. I never thought it was going to happen, and if it did happen, it was never going to look like it does. And I got to say right off the bat, the fact that it looks the same from when it was originally revealed. I mean, I'm sure there's some minor differences. I haven't really looked at it super closely, but it's pretty much 100% intact. You never see a concept car look like that and then come out pretty much unchanged. How do they do it, Rob? There's so many safety standards and stuff to get around. How'd they do that?
I really have fully expected it to just be nothing like that concept. Nothing like that children's drawing.
Yeah, with a ruler, just a ruler and a pencil.
No, I think that's probably story number one of the Cybertruck, right? Is bringing this madman's vision to life.
Yeah. Quite literally too. It's a literal interpretation of that. Yeah.
Yeah, in the best and worst way. There is, I think, probably the most interesting Top Gear segment I've seen in a decade on YouTube where, I obviously forget the host name, but he talks to two of the lead engineer and then the lead project manager or something like that for the Cybertruck, right? Mm-hmm. The guys who are directly receiving Elon's, 3 a.m. texts of, it has to have this angle and it has to be able to fly into space and it has to be totally airtight,
They're the ones receiving all the demands.
Right, they get those demands.
Make it happen.
And this interview was amazing and probably did more for the Cybertruck than anything because you can tell that, for better or worse, these guys were so genuinely proud and excited of the monstrosity that they had created. They were given an insane task and they did it. Mm-hmm. They did it.
Are you talking about in manufacturing and the way that they had to go about assembling it?
Everything. You could just start at the fact that, Elon was we're going to make it out of stainless steel so it doesn't rust. Well, it's okay, except no car ever has been made out of stainless steel, we're using carbon steel, different, steel alloys aluminum, fiberglass, but stainless is not something you make body panels out of.
Wasn't the DeLorean was made out of stainless, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Another failed.
I think that's it.
Another failed vehicle. So anyway, they had to create their own new stainless alloy so that it would have the bending principles that they needed, the strength qualities. You need to have the resistance to
the elements.
The elements, of course. All these things, because you can't just leave stainless outside. It doesn't just stay perfect. It does basically corrode, just like copper turns green. It doesn't look nice forever. So they had to they re-engineered the wheel on so many pieces of this car. I think they had to design their own new metal bending machines. There was nothing that could bend the metal in the way that they needed to bend it for all these different pieces and for the type of alloy they're using. So they had to design entirely new manufacturing processes just to bend the metal, just to make the panels.
yeah. How did this can't have turned a profit for Tesla, right? Like this because like everything probably had to be from the ground up. And I think I remember it was either you or I was reading somewhere where like the assembly of the Cybertruck, like it's not a true unibody, is it right? Like is it like assembled?
Oh
It's
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how
it?
this affects cost of manufacture, but it is that it's basically an exoskeleton. Like a modern cars, the unibody structure, that's, the frame of the car, right? And so the exterior body panels, except for really the roof and the rear quarter panel, otherwise, right, non-structural members. But on the Cybertruck, they're like all structural members. So apparently it made for an incredibly, like the torsional rigidity of this thing is like the same as like a 911. Like it's super, super stiff. And obviously unlike any pickup truck, because any, cab over frame, bed over frame truck is, a wet noodle.
Yeah, you can see that in like a lot of like videos online of the whole like beds twisting away from like the unibody.
Yeah, I mean that's why the bed's
like
separate from the cab, because they move independently.
It's actually designed that way. It's not even like saying that it's like a bad thing. It's like they are designed to twist and move because it's hard to create a very rigid structure.
I mean, totally different. Yeah, I mean,
that's not to say that it's all been positive, though, right, Rob? It's not all been. I mean, I don't think either of us are over here.
It definitely has its drawbacks.
I've been seeing some like panel gaps and like just some like really like inconsistent manufacturing.
I mean, that's any Tesla, isn't it? At least this one they have an excuse. At least this one they have
everything's brand new on this.
Yeah, right. I'll give them a little leeway on this one. I think.
Wasn't there also? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's like the sharpness of the edges of the panels, because like normally panels are like, or at least say a door is two pieces of stamped metal, and they come together at the edge, and then one edge of it just gets like folded over. So then you have like kind of a rounder edge, right, to the metal. But of course, the Cybertruck is just one flat panel, and that's it. And the panel comes to an end. And it's like ground, but it's still way sharper than any normal edge of a door would be.
Yeah, man, the future of the cyberness, it's just extreme, Rob. It's just extreme. No, that sounds crazy that it's like, obviously it's been ground down, but yeah, that definitely sounds potentially dangerous. If you've got get it through QC and somebody hasn't ground it down, or the process of dulling that hasn't happened, all of a sudden I've already shaved my legs
Friday,
before getting it out of the truck. A graze on the door and I'm missing half my leg hair.
I don't know. What's something you like about it?
Well, I'll say that I know we started off by saying this, but I think it's pretty badass at the fact that it looks the way that it does. You and I were both the same in terms of we're never going to see this, and if we do, it's going to be a normal truck. The fact that it's there, looking the way it does, I think is awesome. Outside of that, I don't know. Like I'm not Mr. Pickup, as we know, so it's just not a vehicle that I'm already interested in to begin with. I know there's a ton of memes going around of like these things just like sliding around in the snow, but guess what, folks? That's pickup trucks. Like I don't think that's anything unique. I know it's super heavy.
It's just tires.
Yeah. I know it's super heavy, but I don't think it's any worse or better than. Yeah.
For my purposes, electric pickup truck is stupid right now. I mean, they can't tow, because they have like a 50-mile range as soon as you put, a couple thousand pounds on the tongue. So that's really the primary reason I'd ever want a pickup truck, is like to tow a trailer with a race car in it. So
yeah, same.
So at the moment, pretty stupid in general. So it's like, it's not like I'd get a Rivian or something. Yeah. I mean, no one is. I don't think anyone is kidding themselves. It's clearly not a utilitarian vehicle.
Oh, come on, Rob. Like, look at that. I'm going to pull up on a job site and those guys aren't going to say a
Rivian
word.
included,
No,
and
could you imagine?
and most of the pickup trucks out there, but
Could you imagine pulling up to a blue collar job site in a Cybertruck?
I can't.
The reaming that person
I'm
would go through.
excited for those YouTube videos, though. It's like, I brought my Cybertruck to the 409 Union's, 409 Union job site. Everyone shot it with their guns.
I didn't live to see lunch. Yeah. No. Yeah, I think you're picking up. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Where if I do have a truck, it's designed to tow something. It's not going to be great at that. Anything that I'm towing is going to be, at minimum an hour plus. So it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Do you know what this is, Dylan? This is it. I can boil everything down to this.
Let's hear it.
This is the Hummer H2 of 2024.
Yes!
Because, you had the H1, right? That's your original pickup truck. You had your H1. Yep. You're like, this is the most amazing, utilitarian, heavy-duty, military-grade vehicle possible, right? It was legitimately military-grade. And then Hummer was like, let's make a shit ton of money making some watered-down puff piece that's just, a lifestyle statement.
It's just,
and that was the H2. And it was sick. It was sick and it was stupid. And and this is the yellow Hummer H2 of our modern era. Like, it really makes no sense, but it's a sweet lifestyle statement.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Before flexing was a verb, the H2 was for flexing, and now it's in full vogue, and that's 100% what the Cybertruck is doing.
Imagine like some spinners on your Cybertruck, but like Tron spinners, where like when it spins, it's like an LED bar, and when it spins really fast, you can get like all different patterns and things on it.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
What is the modern spinner? What is the equivalent of like
that?
Yeah, it's like a light up spinning rim.
It's a Tron spinner.
It's a Tron spinner.
Yeah.
My goodness.
What else?
Okay. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, then you got we haven't even touched on the interior.
I mean, I don't want to touch the interior, literally.
Well, it's all rattles and creaks. But you've got the yoke. It's got the yoke steering wheel. Makes no sense.
Yep.
It truly makes no sense to have a yoke steering wheel when you're not in a race car.
Yeah.
That is...
If
ever there was form over function.
Do we know what their steering ratio is? Does it have to go?
No, it's variable. It's like not.
It's variable.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's 100% steer by wire.
Steer by wire. Okay.
So it's totally variable. Variable by the speed you're going at.
Okay.
It has 4-wheel steering.
That just sounds odd.
Apparently, it's like a really fast ratio. So like once you're on the move, like very little input, which I mean, you put a fucking yoke in it, so you have to have it like that because you're gonna be like this, driving all the time.
Yeah. Well, what's parallel parking like? Do you have to like?
It does it itself. You don't have to do it. It does it itself.
Oh, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it just does it for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My gosh. Now the new Hummer crab walks. Does the Cybertruck crab walk?
I forgot that exists. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, it must just not be in people's hands. And these days, it's like if you can't make content about it, then you don't talk about it. Or maybe they just haven't had any like press releases or anything.
You're telling me that the ad with LeBron James and the Hummer crab walking hasn't penetrated media very
Was there
well?
a LeBron
No
James
way.
ad?
I actually I don't know if it was LeBron that was in it or not. I just vaguely remember some like Hummer ad of it crab walking. I think LeBron James is driving it, but I might be wrong.
Hey, well, yeah, just don't work no more.
I just don't. Not like that. No, it is. There is a LeBron ad with it crab walking. My memory serves me well.
All right, I gotta watch that now. I missed that one. That's a shame. That's a shame.
Well, on that note, missing the LeBron crab walking ad. Yeah, Cybertruck. It's interesting.
I'm glad that it exists.
I'll agree with that. I'm glad that it got made
I'm glad it exists.
and that
yeah.
that it looks the way that it does.
Yeah.
Because that's wild.
And now Tesla is saying they are still going to make the Tesla Roadster, the supercar, hypercar. Because they announced that like I don't know, not 5. It was like 3 years ago now, yeah. And then just, crickets since then.
Crickets, yeah.
Classic Tesla fashion.
I would love to see them come out with some absolutely insane concept and make it. I think that'd be cool. Even if it's just for a manufacturing exercise and those guys receiving those 3 a.m. texts with the demands from Elon. Sorry, guys. But
time will tell. I think
Time
people
will tell.
put deposits down.
They did.
Yeah.
I think they were small, but still.
It's like $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time will tell.
Well, Rob, on this week's edition of FMK, we're going to go back in time to 1988 when there was a little, I don't even think it was a full program. There's a little, short TV show, weekly. I never knew exactly when it was on, called Motor Week. All right?
Ooh.
Motor Week. And Motor Week had a shootout between 3 domestic muscle cars in 1988. And they were the IROC Z, all right, the Camaro IROC Z.
Yeah.
And I'm going to choose one that's specific. It came with an optional 350 with automatic only. So you got an IROC Z with the 350. Mm-hmm. You've got the classic Fox Body Mustang, 5 liter. These are all like the GT, like the V8 options.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last of the 3 is the Pontiac Trans Am.
Ooh.
The Firebird Trans Am. Now, I believe that was offered in both manual and automatic, so we're going to choose manual for the other 2. The Camaro only offered in an automatic, so I'm not going to try to change history here. But the other 2 were offered in manual, so I'll choose manual for those. And for the Mustang, I believe they had the optional hatchback or fastback, and we'll do the fastback. I believe they had that option at that time.
Sir, I'll do the fastback this evening with a side of 4-lug wheels and
dude, I mean that was a thing for
efficiency.
the longest time. So this was total clip. I'll send you the video after this because there's a whole Motor Week on these 3, and I'm not gonna give away anything. You gotta watch. You got it. This week on Motor Week. I don't know how I didn't fall asleep to those shows.
It's just so sedate. It's like they couldn't make it more boring.
Yes. It was like you were back in the dentist room reading Motor Trend, but it was moving.
The writing was more
action.
exciting. The writing was more exciting.
This is true. So you've got a classic 3 muscle car shootout. Now, this is an era where these cars were slow, right? The Camaro
what's
350.
the first one? Oh,
So it was the Camaro IROC Z. The 350 made only 230 horsepower. Now, I say only,
oh man,
but the Mustang only made 225 and 300 foot-pounds. And the Firebird, I believe the Firebird is in line with the Mustang at 225 horsepower. Yeah, the Firebird Trans Am, 225. So, I mean, we're talking, you know, my Miata's not too far off. My fully built 2-liter 4-cylinder Miata is not that far off these guys,
yeah,
which
my
is
K series makes
embarrassing.
as much. Love it.
Yes.
You know, they're all icons, but that Trans Am is like not the year.
Oh, what is the year then? If that's not the year,
Whatever the body style after this, with the rounded stuff and the like 5 snorts
big nostrils,
in the nostrils, and the big ass gold fire chicken decal on the hood. I don't think I could own a Firebird any other way.
Any other way? Interesting. I thought you were going to say it was the other direction. It was the Starsky and Hutch, or was it that? No. What's the other show with the Firebird?
Wait, the car that talks?
No. You had Nighthawk. That was this one. That was this generation. It was the other. It was a Burt Reynolds TV show.
Burt Reynolds. I don't know. I don't know.
Hold on. Oh my gosh,
man.
what was this? Because he had it was in the show, and it had the giant chicken on it. What the heck was that? All right, I'm gonna look this up.
I found it, and that would that's also
Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit.
See, it was not Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, I mean that would be way better too.
That's what I thought you were gonna go. I personally am partial to the generation that is in the FMK, but yeah, this is kind of like what a lot of people think of when they think of like Firebird. They think of this car.
So is the IROC Z like a T-top, or
I believe
did it
is.
come as a coupe, or what is?
I believe it's T-top. So the Camaro and the Firebird shared a lot. And I believe they shared a lot because they're both like T-tops. They were really pretty comparable in like a lot of ways. They were really similar shape. They both were T-tops. Mustang was not. But yeah, both of those were.
Wait. I think you can get the IROC Z with the 6-speed.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Haggerty's let me down. Haggerty is saying that the IROC was only available in the automatic with the 350. So
Really?
maybe
This guy like converted. I just found one on Bring a Trailer.
Okay, well, I wouldn't be surprised if people
it has
are out
been
there.
modified and paired. Yeah, maybe he added the third pedal. It's hot.
Yeah, I feel like Haggerty's done their homework.
Yeah. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do.
What are you gonna do?
I think I'm gonna take the Fox body, and I'm gonna take it in black with this red trim here, which I will send you momentarily.
Okay.
I think this is a really nice, classy look. I'm gonna send it to you in the chat because I've been logged out of Facebook. Yeah, I think it's a coupe, so it's gonna like not be like horrifically loud, on the interior. And I'll roll the gears every day. It's got a beautiful, beautiful velour, red, ruby red velour interior. It's got a lot going for it. I like the size too. It's a little smaller, perhaps. So, yeah, for me, that's the way to go every day. And then I'm gonna take the IROC Z out for one kind of just Smokey and the Bandit kind of ride, you know? Take it off some sweet jumps, hit some train tracks, you know, just
Sounds
make
to me
sure
like
that
you should be in the Firebird then.
when I'm well, see, for me, and this is my one and only connection, is in Teenage Dirtbag, I do believe there is a reference to an IROC.
The car that pulls up right at the beginning, he like runs over the bike of like the main character. Yeah, and I believe it's a Camaro for sure.
Yeah. So
so it's got to be the Camaro.
It's got to be the Camaro. Because I have no connection to any of these other vehicles. But
so then why would you marry the Mustang and not the other two?
I like the proportions. I like the proportions, and I like the what you said. I get the fastback, right?
Yeah, get the fastback.
Right, like you got like trunk space there. Look at this interior. You got to go see this interior. It's not actually velour. It's red leather within this red cloth with a little kind of tartan pattern to it.
Wow, that's a lot of red. It's all red.
It's beautiful.
They don't make those reds like that anymore.
No, they're afraid to. But it's beautiful. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty sweet, you know.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, they're all gonna be slow as dirt. Yep. They're all gonna sound not great, honestly. I don't like how this era of American V8 sounded. They all just sound like trucks. It was not a good time. It was a terrible time for American cars.
It sounds like all three of these just need to be taken out behind a shed and put out of their misery for Rob.
Yeah, absolutely.
And along with Motor Week,
Motor Week. No, absolutely.
Hot take of the day, Motor Week. Total nostalgia bait. It was so boring.
The only thing here I would even contemplate salvaging would be the Fox body, and it would be to do something ridiculous with it, you know.
Mm-hmm. What would you do? What would you do with the Fox body?
What would I do with the Fox body?
Yeah.
I'd probably drift it. I would just wreck it.
Just wreck it.
But with the full interior.
So the other two take out behind the shed, and you'll just slowly kill the Fox. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. It's a slow death.
Just slow, painful
It's a slow death.
Okay, cool. Well, I will jump in here now and say I have actually driven one of these cars a good amount, not a ton, but Matt, who you've met, his family actually bought a Trans Am. GTA. Actually, it's not the GTA, but it's a Trans Am with a V8. It was an auto.
Why would they do that?
Well, it was new at the time. They bought it new.
Oh, okay.
So, not a lot of, this isn't like way later on. They bought the car new. Matt now has taken ownership of it, so it's like a family heirloom at this point.
Yeah.
And I will say this, the car is actually really good for like cruising around. Because it is T-tops. It's a really long car. Dude, it's so long. And it's got a lot of overhang, too. Because, like, the wheels, especially in the front, that fender is really long.
Yeah.
And the nose really sticks far out. So it would never turn into a performance car, right? I would never take that and be like, I'm going to try to
there is nothing
track this or something.
Nothing solid.
But what I will say is, with the T-tops, you take them off, you cruise around. It is really cool for doing that, especially now, because, dude, you don't see cars like that anymore. And I'm not trying to sound like a total boomer, but the way that Firebird is shaped with, like, the pop-ups and, like, all the time, I used to see cars like that a decent amount when I was a kid.
Right.
Dude, they're gone. They are gone, bro. They're not on the road anymore.
I know the feeling. So it's like I don't see Tauruses on the road anymore. It's a shame.
Oozing with sarcasm. Oozing. It's a shame that I don't see these blobs on the road anymore.
unless it was handed to me, if I was going to cruise around in something classic and American, it just wouldn't be from this era.
It wouldn't be from this era.
Like it would so
be older,
clearly
right?
need to be from the 50s, 60s, and maybe in the early 70s. And they're all cheap now because everyone who cared about them is just about dead. So why not get something from that era that some guy 20 years ago when he was 60 spent
Fully
$50,000 restoring, and now it's not worth jack, and his son doesn't want it, and so I buy it.
Well, if I had to choose, dude, that Mr. Mullet Man, that IROC's getting the shed treatment. It's getting the shed treatment for sure.
Take him out back.
It's already on the fence, but the fact that it's auto would be just it was a death sentence right from the get go. I've driven the Firebird, so that leaves me to want to own the Fox body. So I don't know what that says about the Firebird because I've enjoyed it for what it is. I don't think it's gonna be much more, but dude, I think it would be really cool to do like a full day driving around on some summer day with the T-tops down and like enjoying, just like cruising around. And then I would not need it ever again, because I don't you can't do anything else with the car, in my opinion. Like that's what it's for. So whereas the Fox body, maybe I attempt to track it and slowly kill it that way. I don't know.
Yeah. These cars, both the Camaro and the Firebird, both have the energy of like washed up,
jocks.
Quarterback, high school hero who's
Beer
now
gut.
the janitor, and he's 50 years old, and his
Reliving
life
the
is a
glory
failure,
days.
and he's got an ex-wife and 2 kids that hate him, who he never sees.
Definitely the high school sweetheart, the
And
cheerleader.
he's still chugging this thing around. It's got no exhaust. Yeah.
Oh my god! But hey, it's the car he brought his date to prom in. So
He
it's a
sure
legend.
did. And that was he peaked at that moment, And so did these cars.
And so do these cars. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. All right, on that note, that'll end our segment here for sure. Got to go out on a high.
From one bloated and uninspired, well, you can't say it's uninspiring, but from one hunk of electric vehicle that I think neither of us have any vague interest in purchasing or anything like it, we now have something that actually is interesting. Now, time for something totally different. In a move that I think surprised everyone, Caterham released a electric concept car.
Ooh.
So of course Caterham still makes the 7, which looks exactly the same as it did 60 years ago, right? Exposed front wheels, absolutely tiny, no accoutrements, no roof, nothing. That's the
original
Caterham.
design from Lotus, was like the Lotus Sun or something.
Yes. Yeah. And so Caterham has released this electric concept that looks like something related to maybe a Cayman, It's small, it has a fixed roof, it's sleek, it looks like a production car, not a kit car. It's pretty. And it's electric. 100% electric.
Ooh, interesting. I'm looking up a photo of it now. Yeah, it's not like your classic Lotus design. This is a fully redesigned vehicle. Yeah, with no exposed.
Oh yeah, it's
actual vehicle. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a and it moves. The one they built moves. It works. And so it's much more than just a concept exercise. And it's according to the owner, or Caterham, it's the future for them. Well, they said to be made alongside the 7, but to expand, to expand Caterham, this is what they want to make, so they're
Cool.
very serious about it.
Well, my two immediate takeaways are looks like a cool car, and it doesn't look anything like what I would envision like from Caterham, because Caterham is really just like the Lotus 7 concept, right? So it's cool that they're branching out. I think that's really interesting. I would also say if they made their classic design as an electric car, I think that makes a lot more sense than what we were talking about earlier with the Cybertruck. Because, like, here's a car that is purely, if I had one, around town or at the track. And that's it. And if the car's that small, hell, I could probably tow it with my Focus. Like, you don't need a whole big thing to tow your little tiny car around. I'm exaggerating, but it would be easy to tow, is my point. So as an electric vehicle, might not have the biggest range. Great, I don't need one. I'm mainly just driving this around town or at the track. So like it makes more sense to me than the Cybertruck, where it's this big giant pickup truck that like can't do big giant pickup truck stuff that I would want out of my pickup truck in terms of like towing and driving long distances and things like that.
Yeah. I hear you. It does seem to fit better. But then, of course, and part of the enjoyment is rowing the gears and hearing the engine. And you
That's
are
true.
deprived of that in this. So what are you proposing? Just a regular old Caterham 7 with that's electric?
I think it'd be cool. When you said, "Hey, I got a segment for us," that's what I envisioned. Like I didn't expect this to be a car. Like,
oh yeah.
Not
Well,
that
you
the
know
Lotus
what?
7
Like
isn't a car, but you know what I mean. Like this is a
because
real
for
like
me,
looking car. It's like a Lotus.
I don't really like want a Lotus 7 or a Caterham 7. Like it doesn't really fit for me because it's so stripped down. You can, but you do not want to drive this to the track. You hardly want to take it out for more than an hour. Like it's earplugs required.
I mean,
arguably
it's helmet required. And I'm not saying that because I'm Mr. Safety. It just doesn't have a freaking windshield. Like
yeah, I mean, I think you can put a windshield on it, but like
you can spec it with that. But yeah.
Yeah, you can't even drive it when it's kind of cold. Like it's like it's a motorcycle. If it's 50 degrees, you're freezing.
Yep.
There's really no heater. You can't even with your wife in the car, you're too close. I don't know. And so to me, it's like, why would I get that? I'd just rather have an Elise. An Elise has a roof. It has a heater that works. You can actually keep the cabin warm. It is magnitudes quieter, which is, insane.
Well, yeah, because you're not outside 100% of the time.
Yeah, and there's a place for your stuff. I mean, sort of. There's some place that you can actually, like, lock. The Caterham is just like, I'll just get a motorcycle,
Yeah.
And so that's why I like this. It is, I mean, also I like it because, this is the first interesting electric car since Tesla made the Tesla Roadster back in the day. It is, so it's 2,600 pounds. It is 268 horsepower. So it's not a big horsepower car, but it has upper and lower wishbone suspension, front and back, fully adjustable, like a Miata, of course, So it's like it is gonna seriously like have the handling chops, to rival something like an Elise.
That's impressively light for an electric car. You said 22?
26.
26. Okay.
26. No, but
Still,
I mean,
26.
Frankly, like, if you look at an ICE car the same size, I believe the Alpine A110 is about the same size, and it weighs 50, maybe 100 pounds less. So really comparable in weight.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's looks like it'd be quite fun. And also the interior, too, like, it's like everything. It's really everything you want out of a driver car. Frankly, it's just like I'd still rather it was ICE. And they told me,
well, yeah. Well, I'll say this too. I think both of us are more partial to a internal combustion vehicle, but if I had to design an electric vehicle, or let's just design an electric vehicle to the strengths of electric, I would end up designing something similar to this because I would want it to be lightweight to get as large of a range out of it as possible while not having like that much battery to it. And then what are the strengths of an electric motor? Well, you have great low end torque. It's not really going to like, it's not like a high horsepower thing, but it's got great low end torque. You add that to like a small little car, that sounds like a lot of fun because you're not going to get the same enjoyment of like rowing the gears that you would out of a nice car. So where are you going to get the fun? I'm going to get the fun out of accelerating quickly out of corners. Okay, well, how else are you going to enjoy like a twisty, cornery, road, a small little coupe like this?
Handling dynamics.
Yeah.
They have good handling dynamics. Yeah.
So like that would point me to designing a car like this as opposed to like the Cybertruck, or it doesn't even have to be like the Cybertruck, or like the what Porsche has with their Taycan and stuff like that.
Right.
Wouldn't be what I would design.
Taycan, it's a beast. It's insane
impressive car.
capability. They just came out with the YSOC edition. Did you see that?
No, not yet.
The YSOC just did the Nürburgring in like a minute faster than the Platter. It has no rear seats.
Whoa.
Which is cool whenever an automaker has a car that has four doors and takes out the rear seats.
That is nuts.
It is cool. They just went balls to the wall with it. It has 1,000 horsepower mode, so it makes 1,000 horsepower for like a launch control little fun thing. I mean, it's insanity. It has canards.
Yeah.
And it's a take.
Yeah, well, I guess that is the other like way to go.
And that's the way that everyone's gone.
But yeah, that is the way that everyone's
Everyone.
gone. And I've experienced it. It's a lot of fun, but it's like, in my mind, it's a one-trick pony where it's like you 100%. Do it a couple times and it's like, my God. And then
the
I get it in traffic, it's really cool.
Is a joke with that too. Like I saw an article recently. It was like 60% of microplastics in the ocean are tires. Are the little tiny pieces of tire that come off as your tire wears as you drive it, right? Because I mean, tires wear down. The rubber goes somewhere.
Yeah.
Apparently into the ocean. So heavier cars wear their tires faster and bigger tires. Same with particulates from your brakes, your brake dust, like that shit's bad for the environment. I mean, basically everything about a big heavy car
is worse.
Takes more resources. Yeah. You have bigger batteries, take more lithium, more resources, like everything about it. So like, I mean, these cars are ridiculous because they don't accomplish the point, which is to reduce consumption of natural resources.
Yeah. Well, I think this also goes into, I think what we covered this a while back in terms of a driver's car that's electric. Like no one's done that yet. Like no one's really made
Tesla Roadster.
Their original Roadster, but I mean, that was years and years ago.
15 years ago, right?
I don't even know how many people got their hands on that to say like yay or nay. Actually, that's a good question. Did that have really good handling characteristics? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Lotus Elise.
Well, it was, but they had to like destroy it and basically rebuild. Elon said that they would have been better off to like design it from the ground up.
Yeah, they made it longer. It actually had more structural rigidity because of how the battery was like a structural member or something. I think from all accounts, it was a very good driving car and comparable to an Elise in its handling characteristics.
Yeah. So like,
but of course,
take
it's
that
not
aside.
like that was a whole other era.
That was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago,
15 years ago.
So it's like, so no one in recent time has done it yet, but it's only a matter of time until it's done. And is the product something that I would be more behind?
Well, I think it'll be the Miata would probably be the first thing. I mean, unless Caterham makes this thing, and maybe it comes to America, but probably be the Miata. Although we'll see what Mazda does with that. They don't have a fully electric system yet, so
there's been rumors either way, right? I feel like we've talked about there being rumors for it being electric. And I feel like I've also recently seen.
I think it's sort of
that.
writing on the wall that it needs to at least be hybrid, is what I've been seeing. But I think they're going to keep making this one till like 2030.
The ND.
Yeah, they're going to keep making the ND for a long time.
Yeah, so we're going to have like the ND 12.
Yeah, for sure. There's a
Hey, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
No, the ND's are awesome. I don't think anyone's upset with them to keep make cooler versions of the ND. You know, of course, we got like the Spirit Racing, right? To go back to the Caterham, there's a couple other cool points I just thought they were pretty interesting about. So one, it's got no frunk, and that makes it cheaper to manufacture. It makes it lighter, apparently 10, 12 kilograms lighter, because you don't have any sealing, you don't have any hinges, you don't have it. You can make the crash structure and stuff more efficient. It also gives you more room up there, so you can have double wishbone suspension, you know, unlike most Porsches, that type of stuff. Let's see what else. It uses, I believe, the door closures from an Audi TT. So the whole outline and sealing and all that geometry and engineering and whatnot is from an Audi TT, because one of the most expensive things to engineer on a production car is a closure. Who knew? But it's the closures. It's making sure they don't leak and they don't squeak and they work and they can withstand side impacts. Apparently, it's very expensive to engineer those. So just use one from another car. So that's that. And then also this, which I think is like literally what everyone should be doing. I guess they still have to like account for 70-year-olds, but the radio has it doesn't have its own like internal ECU or whatever. So like you have modern cars, you get them, they come with navigation. Built every car is navigation. Who God knows why. It's got like its own little operating system and all this complex stuff in it, right? Like it's its own little computer. This car doesn't have that. It's really just designed for you to immediately just plug in CarPlay or Android Auto, which is what everyone does anyway. I don't want to use the crappy navigation that you update with a USB stick, you know? Everyone knows just, you know, Google Maps is going to be superior. So I thought that was cool. So that, you know, that saves them some weight, some simplicity in the dash layout. Yeah.
I wonder if any major manufacturers will get on board with doing something like that.
It's gonna be
I don't think like a mass transit vehicle could, but perhaps something that's like the first time I think we see it, if we ever see it, it's going to be on some like stripped out Porsche, right? That they're charging you more for less.
No,
the classic
because Porsche already
way.
has spent all this money to design their own software and stuff, so they just carry it over.
But what if, Rob? What if we could sell something for more money and have less investment in it? They're the kings at that. They could totally do it. They would sell. That's the thing. It would sell.
It's all worth it. Are you kidding me? It's all worth it. The ST has real door handles, just like the base. Isn't that what you want? You're paying more, so you can have it like the base car.
There's some really cool things there. It would be interesting. I want to see somebody do it. I want to see somebody make a modern electronic driving car. I just want to see what happens with it. Like, does it end up being really good? Like, does it end up like performing really well? We have all these, you know, electric cars that are super fast, and like you were saying with that Porsche going around Nuremberg, like, will this perform? Will this outperform a similar ICE vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, I guess really it all come down to price point. And it's probably like a $60,000-$80,000 price point, and then you're gonna compare it to a base Cayman, top spec Supra, M2, which is pretty tough competition because those cars just have so much more power. I mean, even the ICE cars, they'll all have way more power. Even a Cayman, even a Cayman. I don't know. Well, you know what? I don't know. A base Cayman's, I honestly don't know. 300 horsepower, 320, and weighs 3,000 pounds. So that's comparable, 10 horsepower per pound, or 10 pounds per horsepower.
Yeah, 2024 718 is 300 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds.
So it'd be comparable to that.
That would be an interesting head-to-head.
It would be an interesting head-to-head, and this is the benefit of the battery pack and the low battery, so it's definitely going to have a lower CG. Superior suspension engineering.
It'd be an interesting head-to-head for sure. Nice. Well, anything else as we wrap this up?
I got nothing. I don't even know if I'd buy one.
Well, it's kind of like the Cybertruck, where I'm like, I'd be glad if they made it. Right? I'd be glad they made it.
I'd be more glad.
And I'd want to see.
I'd be a lot more glad, Dylan. Oh, wait. I knew there is something. I had a rant cooking, and I lost it, but it's come back to me. Don't worry.
It's been marinating. Okay,
yeah.
You're pulling it out of the refrigerator.
Welcome,
it's been marinating for a number of hours. All right,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, and it's spicy, which is basically just the utter bullshit that is our transition to all electric, except that isn't the thing. We should be using government legislation not to push electric, but to push smaller vehicles. We will never make 6, 7, 8,000 pound trucks efficient with one person in them. It will never be efficient. It will never be sustainable. And I guess there's just like no money in making little cars when you can make big cars. So the auto, who's making the rules, right? It's the people with money. So it's the automakers, and you've got, I guess, a side of moving tides across the world in thinking about sustainability, and so you think electric, but it's just, I don't know. It's so silly.
Well, it's going back to what you were saying about a larger car, a heavier car is always going to consume brakes and going to consume tires quicker, right?
Just and it takes more power.
Who cares if it's electric? Yeah, who cares if it's electric? Who cares if it's ice? It's going to consume a lot more.
It just takes more energy. It takes more energy, the speed up and the slow down.
Yeah. This is why a Miata at the track is better on consumables than a Mustang, right? It's lighter.
Yeah.
It doesn't go through brakes as quickly. It doesn't go through tires as much. Take those same rules and apply them to the road, and I'd argue you'd end up with a safer roadway because people aren't driving around in these like 8,000 pound vehicles smashing into each other.
End up with less congested roadways if every vehicle's half the size. Ultimately, it's just like, look at Japan. Japan legislated to have small vehicles, whether the people of Japan wanted it or not. And yes, arguably they are a statistically, physically smaller,
denser population. So it makes a little more sense for them.
So they physically fit in these smaller cars better. But Japan wrote laws that said this, whatever, there's this tax incentive or disincentive to make a car this big or this small. And so that's how you ended up with all these tiny cars there. And there's definitely some poor design. You end up with these boxes. Everything's kind of a box over there because the way they've made the space. It's like
they have their own problems.
It's a footprint.
Yeah.
There are problems with how they legislated this. Maybe they should have just done it by volume, so you didn't end up with some truly hideous and probably not super aerodynamic vehicles. But
that all ended up looking the same because they're all being designed to spec.
So much more efficient. So much more efficient on every front.
Well, I'll say this.
I don't know, man.
I'll push back a little bit on the legislation aspect. It'd be nice to do a U-turn, right? Get us into get away from the crossover and get us back into smaller cars overall.
We need to get away from the truck.
I don't know how we do that, though, effectively without there's going to be major pushback if you try to like legislate something. Like speaking about it realistically, I'm wondering out loud.
I mean, that's the same with electric.
That's true. But what if you did? What if all of a sudden, just since we both love this, what if all of a sudden, Rob, there was a hatchback on the market that didn't look like complete ass, like every freaking hybrid did growing up. That, I don't care if it's ICE or hybrid or whatever, but it got like 70 miles to gallon. And it was like a somewhat affordable car. Like the Prius of today. Like the Prius when it came out, I will hand it to the Prius.
It was today.
Well, does the Prius today get 70 miles per gallon?
No, I think it's like 55.
Isn't that much? Okay. Well then, yeah, I'm probably answering my own question. I'm just saying, like, if you could kind of like break.
You would literally have to break the American spirit, Dylan.
Well, yeah.
What is
that's
America about? Big ass things.
It's
about asserting yourself on everyone else around you.
What I was trying to get at was, what if you just had just the most efficient vehicle ever for an affordable price?
Americans hate that.
It would fall on deaf ears, is what you're saying? It would just fall on deaf ears.
As soon as you can afford to not be efficient, no one in America wants to be efficient. If you can afford to buy more groceries and just let the rest get thrown away, you do.
It's true.
The wealthier you are, the more you waste. No. That, like, the American dream. And now, like, that is the status symbol. As soon as every God-loving man in America has enough money, they buy a truck. It doesn't matter if they are an accountant who lives in an apartment in New York. He aspires to own a truck.
What was the store in Wall-E? Remember that Pixar movie? I think it was like Big and Large, like B&L.
Yeah. That's us. That's us.
Accurate.
Just watch Wall-E, guys. Then you'll get it. Then you'll get it.
That's why why Rob and I like our small little hatchback so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on that note, just watch Wall-E.
So better.
Cool. Well, you've sat through yet another edition of the Early Apex, and dude, that was some marinated rant for Rob.
I was stewing on that one.
Well, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next.
Later, guys.